Liberty Network takes pleasure in bringing you Suspense. Suspense, our parade of outstanding thrillers from stage and screen, fiction and radio, presented each week to bring you to the edge of your chair, to keep you in suspense.
Good evening. This is Orson Welles. And very happy I am to be back into the United States and back on the Liberty Network, even for so short a visit as this one. Back with old friends, Anna Harrich, Alexander Opso, Nick Parlier, Mike Panzerato, and Anna Elizabeth Gann. The Mercury Theater presented tonight's radio program for the first time last year in 1941. We came right out and held it as a classic of the medium. And nobody argued the point. In fact, a lot of people asked us to come and do it again. So it's gratifying to get the chance now and find a favorite of ours in this distinguished anthology of spook shows. Personally, I've never met anybody who didn't like a good ghost story, but I know a lot of people who think there are a lot of people who don't like the good ghost story. So for the benefit of these at least, I go on the record at the outset of this evening's entertainment with a sober assurance. Although blood may be curdled on this program, none will be spilled. There is no shooting, no knifing, throttling, axing, or poisoning here. No clanking chains, no cobwebs, no bony and or hairy hands appearing from secret panels, or better yet, the bedroom curtain. If it's any part of that dear old phosphorescent foolishness that people who don't like ghost stories don't like, then once again I promise you, we haven't got it. Not tonight. What we do have is a thriller. If it's half as good as we think it is, you can call it a shocker. It's already been called a real Orson Welles story. It seems I do have a reputation for the uncanny. Quite possibly, a little escapade of mine involving a couple of planets which shall be nameless is responsible. A story doesn't have to appeal to the heart. It can also appeal to the spine. Sometimes you want your heart to be warm. Sometimes you want your spine to tingle. The spine tingling, we hope, will be quite evident as you listen tonight to The Hitch-Hiker.
I'm in an auto camp on Route 66, just west of Gallup, New Mexico. If I tell it, maybe it'll help me. Keep me from going crazy. I gotta tell this quickly. I'm not crazy now. I feel perfectly well, except that I'm running a slight temperature. My name is Ronald Adams. I'm 36 years of age, unmarried, tall, dark, with a black mustache. I drive a 1940 Buick, license number 6Y175189. I was born in Brooklyn, New York. All this I know. I know that at this moment, I'm perfectly sane. It's not me who's gone mad. It's something else. Something utterly beyond my control. I've got to speak quickly. At any minute, the link may break. This may be the last thing I ever tell on Earth. The last night I ever see the stars. 6 days ago, I left Brooklyn to drive to California.
Goodbye, son. Good luck to you, my boy.
Goodbye, Mother. Here, give me a kiss, then I'll go.
I'll come out with you to the car.
Oh, no, don't do that. It's raining. Just stay here at the door.
Oh.
Hey, what's this? Tears? I thought you promised me you wouldn't cry.
Oh, I know, dear. I'm sorry. But I do hate to see you go.
Mother, I'll be back before you know it. I'll only be on the coast for 3 months after all.
Oh, it isn't that. It's just the trip. Oh, Ronald, I I wish you weren't driving.
Mother, if I've told you once, I've told you 1,000 times. Stop worrying. It's okay. People do it every day.
Yes, I know, but those people aren't my son. You'll be careful, won't you? Promise me you'll be extra careful. Don't fall asleep or drive fast or pick up any strangers on the road.
Gosh, you think I was still 17 hearing you talk like this?
And wire me as soon as you get to Hollywood.
Of course.
You will, won't you, son?
Of course I will. Don't you worry now. Nothing's going to happen. It's just 8 days of perfectly simple driving on smooth, decent, civilized roads with a hot dog or a hamburger stand every 10 miles. Nothing possibly to even... I was in fine spirits. The drive ahead of me, even the loneliness of it, seemed like a lark. But my plans didn't include him. Crossing the Brooklyn Bridge that morning in the rain, I saw a man leaning against the cables. Looked like he was waiting for a lift. He was thin and wore a cap pulled down over his eyes. He had a cheap overnight bag in one hand, and there were spots of fresh rain on his shoulders. He was just a guy, like any other Joe I'd passed on the bridge before. I would have forgotten him completely, but just an hour later, while crossing the Pulaski Skyway over the Jersey Flats, I saw him again. At least it looked like the same person. He was standing now with one thumb pointing west. I couldn't figure how he'd gotten there, but I thought probably one of those fast trucks had picked him up, beaten me to the Skyway, and dropped him off. I didn't stop for him. Then, late that night, I saw him again. It was on the new Pennsylvania Turnpike between Harrisburg and Pittsburgh. It's 265 miles long with a very high speed limit. I was just slowing down for one of the tunnels when I saw him, standing under an arc light by the side of the road. I could see him quite distinctly. The bag, the cap, even the spots of fresh rain spattered over his shoulders. This time, he called to me.
Hello? Hello?
I stepped on the gas like a shot coming out of a cannon. It's lonely country through the Alleghenies, and I had no intention of stopping. These coincidences, or whatever they were, gave me the willies. But the Buick had other ideas for me. I was running low on gas, so I pulled off at the next station.
Yes, sir.
Fill her up.
Certainly, sir. Check your oil, sir.
No thanks.
Nice night, isn't it?
Yes. It hasn't been raining here recently, has it?
Not a drop all week.
Oh. I suppose that hasn't done your business any harm?
Oh, people drive through here all kinds of weather, mostly business, you know. There aren't many pleasure cars coming out on the turnpike this season of the year.
No, I suppose not. What about hitchhikers?
Hitchhikers?
Yeah. What's the matter? Don't you ever see any?
Sure we do. Every year on the 12th of Never.
What?
Yeah. And when they come through, there's a whole flock of pigs flying right behind them. A guy'd have to be a fool to try and hitch a ride on this road. I mean, just look at it.
Then, you've never seen anybody?
No. Maybe they get the lift before the turnpike starts, just before the toll house. But then it'd be a mighty long ride. Most cars wouldn't want to pick up a guy for that long a ride. And you know, this is pretty lonesome country here. Mountains and woods. You ain't seen nobody like that, have you?
No. No, not at all. I was just, it was just a technical question.
I see. That'll be $1.49 with the tax.
The thing gradually passed through my mind as sheer coincidence. I had a good night's sleep in Pittsburgh. I didn't think about the man once the next day until I got just outside of Zanesville, Ohio, where I saw him again. It was a bright, sunshiny afternoon. The peaceful Ohio fields, brown with autumn stubble, lay dreaming in the golden light. And I was driving slowly, taking it all in when the road suddenly ended in a detour, and he was standing in front of the barrier. There he was, not sinister or menacing, totally unremarkable, drab as a mud fence, just standing, waiting, almost drooping a little, that same cheap overnight bag in his hand. He looked up and he hailed me. He started walking forward toward my car.
Hello? Hello?
No! Not just now, sorry!
Going to California?
No, not today. The other way. I'm going to New York, sorry. After I got the car back on the road again, I felt like a fool. Yet, the thought of picking him up, having him sit beside me, was somehow unbearable. At the same time, I felt, more than ever, unspeakably alone. Hour after hour went by. The fields, the towns ticked off one by one. The light changed. I knew now that I was going to see him again. And though I dreaded the sight, I caught myself searching the side of the road, waiting for him to appear.
Yeah, what is it? What do you want?
You sell sandwiches and pop here, don't you?
Yeah, we do in the daytime, but we're closed up for the night.
I know, but I was wondering if you could possibly let me have a cup of coffee. Black coffee, please.
No, not at this time of night, mister. My wife's the cook and she's in bed.
No, don't shut the door, please. Listen, just a minute ago, there was a man standing here, right beside this stand. A suspicious-looking man. I don't mean to disturb you. You see, I was driving along when I just happened to look, and there he was.
What was he doing?
Well, nothing.
You've been taking a nip, that's what you've been doing. Now get out of here before I call the sheriff.
I got into the car again and drove on slowly. I was beginning to hate the car. If I could have just found a place to stop, to rest a little. I was in the Ozark Mountains of Missouri now. The few resort places there were closed, only an occasional log cabin seemingly deserted. That's all that broke the monotony of the wild, wooded landscape. I had seen him at the roadside stand, and I knew I'd see him again. Maybe at the next turn of the road. I knew that when I saw him next, I would run him right down. But I didn't see him again. I didn't see him until late in the afternoon the next day. I'd stopped the car at a sleepy little junction just across the border into Oklahoma to let a train pass by, when he appeared across the tracks, leaning against a telephone pole. It was a perfectly still, dry day. The red clay of Oklahoma was baking under the southwestern sun, yet there were spots of fresh rain on his shoulders. I couldn't stand that. Without thinking, blindly, I started the car across the tracks. He didn't even look up at me. He was just staring down at the ground. I stepped on the gas hard, veering the wheel sharply toward him. I could hear the train in the distance now, but I didn't care. Then, something went wrong with the car. It stalled right on the tracks. The train was coming closer. I could hear its bell ringing and the cry of its whistle. Still, he just stood there. Now I knew that he was beckoning me to my death. Well, I frustrated him that time. At last, the car started to work and I managed to back up. But when the train passed, he was gone. I was all alone in the hot, dry afternoon. I knew I had to do something. I didn't know who this man was or what he wanted of me. I only knew that from now on, I couldn't let myself be alone on the road. Not for 1 minute. Like a ride?
Well, what do you think? How far are you going?
Well, where do you want to go?
Amarillo, Texas?
I'll drive you there.
Gee. Say, you mind if I take off my shoes? My dogs are killing me.
Go right ahead.
Ugh. Gee, what a break this is.
It's nice to have some company. I've been driving for a few days now. Haven't even stopped at a hotel yet. You hitchhike much?
Oh, sure. Only it's tough sometimes to get a break in these great open spaces like this.
Yeah, I should think it would be. I'll bet if you got a good pickup and a fast car, if you did, you could get places faster than, say, another person in another car, couldn't you?
I don't get you.
Well, take me for instance. Suppose I'm driving across the country, say, going at a nice steady clip, about 45 miles an hour. Couldn't a girl like you, just standing beside the road waiting for a lift, couldn't a girl like you beat me to town? I mean, to any town if she got picked up every time by a car going, say, 65 to 70 miles an hour?
I don't know. What is this, a math quiz? What difference does it make?
Oh, no difference. That's just a crazy question I got in my head sitting here in the car.
Oh, imagine spending your time in a swell car like this, thinking of things like that.
What would you do instead if you were me?
What would I do? Well, if I was a good-looking fella like yourself, why, I'd just enjoy myself every minute of the time. I'd sit back and relax, and if I saw a not-so-shabby-looking girl along the side of the road, why, I'd... Hey, look out!
Did you see him too?
See who?
That man standing beside the barbed wire fence?
I didn't see anybody. It was nothing but a bunch of cows and the fence.
No?
What did you think you were doing? Trying to run into that barbed wire fence?
There was a man there, I tell you. A thin, gray man with an overnight bag in his hand, and I was trying to run him down.
Run him down? You mean you were trying to kill him?
You say you didn't see him back there? Are you sure?
I didn't see a soul. And as far as that's concerned, I don't know what in the world...
Watch for him the next time. Keep watching. Keep your eyes peeled. He'll turn up again. Maybe any minute now. There! Look there!
Oh no, how does this door work? I'm getting out of here.
Did you see him that time?
No, I didn't see him that time. And personally, mister, I don't expect never to see him. All I want to do is go on living. I don't see how I will very long riding with you.
I'm sorry. I didn't... I don't know what came over me. Please, don't go.
If you'll excuse me...
You can't go. Listen, how would you like to go to California? I'll drive you to California.
What, with you seeing pink elephants all the way? No, thanks, Thanks just the same, mister.
Listen, please, just 1 minute. Please.
You know what I think you need, big boy? Not a girlfriend, no, just a good dose of sleep. You pull off at the next town you come to and get you a hotel room, all right?
Please?
There, I got it now.
No! You can't go! Please!
Get your hands off of me, do you hear? Get your hands off of me!
She ran from me, as though I were a monster. A few minutes later, I saw a passing truck pick her up. I knew then and there I was utterly alone. I was in the heart of the great Texas prairies. There wasn't a car on the road after the truck went by. I kept trying to figure out what to do, how to get a hold of myself. I could just find a place to rest, or even if I could just sleep right here in the car for a few hours along the road. I was getting my winter overcoat out of the back seat to use as a blanket when I saw him coming toward me, emerging from the herd of moving steer that were kept behind the barbed wire fence.
Hello! Hello!
Maybe I should have spoken to him, fought it out, then and there. Because after that, he began to be everywhere. I saw him standing outside the auto camp in Amarillo that night when I dared to slow down. He was sitting near the drinking fountain of a little camping spot just inside the border of New Mexico. He was waiting for me outside the Navajo reservation where I stopped to check my tires. I saw him in Albuquerque when I bought 20 gallons of gas. I was afraid to stop now. I began to drive faster and faster. I was in a lunar landscape now, the great, arid country of New Mexico. I drove through it with the indifference of a fly crawling over the face of the moon. But now, he didn't even wait for me to stop. Unless I drove at 85 miles an hour over those endless roads, he waited for me every other mile. I'd see his figure, shadowless, flitting before me, still in its same waiting, drooping attitude over the cold, lifeless ground. Flitting over dried-up rivers, over broken stones cast up by glacial upheavals. Flitting in that pure, cloudless air. I was beside myself when I finally reached Gallup, New Mexico this morning. There's an auto camp there. Cold. Almost deserted this time of year. I went inside and asked if there was a telephone. I had the feeling that if only I could speak to someone familiar, someone I loved, I could somehow pull myself together.
Your call, please.
Long distance.
Long distance? Certainly.
This is long distance.
I'd like to put in a call to my house in Brooklyn, New York. I'm Ronald Adams. The number is Beechwood 20828.
Certainly. I'll try to get it for you.
Albuquerque.
New York for Gallup.
New York!
New Mexico calling Beechwood 20828.
I'd read somewhere that love could banish demons. It was in the middle of the morning. I knew Mother'd be home. I pictured her tall and white-haired in her crisp house dress going about her tasks. It'd be enough, I thought, just to hear the even calmness of her voice.
Will you please deposit $3.85 for the first 3 minutes? When you have deposited $1.50, will you wait until I have collected the money? All right. Deposit another $1.50. Will you please deposit the remaining 85 cents? Ready, Brooklyn. Go ahead, please.
Hello?
Mrs. Adams' residence?
Hello? Hello, Mother?
This is Mrs. Adams' residence. Who is it you wish to speak to, please?
What? Who's this?
This is Mrs. Winnie.
Mrs. Winnie? I don't know any Mrs. Winnie. Is this Beechwood 28028?
Yes?
Where's my mother? Where's Mrs. Adams?
Mrs. Adams is not at home. She's still in the hospital.
The hospital?
Yes. Who is this calling, please? You a member of the family?
What's she in the hospital for?
Oh, she's been ill for 5 days. Nervous breakdown. But who is this calling?
Nervous breakdown? My mother has never been nervous.
It's all taken place since the death of her oldest son, Ronald.
Death of her oldest son, Ronald? Hey! What's the meaning of this? What number is this?
Hey, this is Beechwood 20828. It's all been very sudden. He was killed just 6 days ago in an automobile accident on the Brooklyn Bridge.
Your 3 minutes are up, sir. Your 3 minutes are up, sir. Your 3 minutes are up, sir.
And so I'm sitting here in this deserted auto camp in Gallup, New Mexico. I'm trying to think, trying to get a hold of myself. Otherwise, I'm going to go crazy. Outside, it's night. The vast, soulless night of New Mexico. 1,000,000 stars are in the sky. Ahead of me stretch 1,000 miles of empty mesa, mountains, prairies, desert. Somewhere among them, he's waiting for me. Somewhere I will know who he is and who I am.
And so ends The Hitch-Hiker, which was written by Lucille Fletcher, and to Orson Welles, our considerable thanks for his appearance on our show. Suspense will be heard again soon. This has been the Liberty Broadcasting System.